Spooky. I'm very spooky. Okay, it's TVB. And I'm here tonight to make another classic movie review for The Conjuring, which is the 2013 contemporary horror classic directed by James Wan and stars Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga, and a few other people, based on a true-ish story about the real-life case where Ed and Lorraine Warren investigate this house back in like the early 70s has been haunted by like a demonic entity. After 7 years, I can't believe I still haven't watched The Conjuring. I have seen The Nun, which came out back in 2018, 2 years ago, but I still have, like, prior to tonight, I haven't watched, like, any of, like, the Conjuring verse films. I've heard praises for this first film back in 2013. I've heard very bad things about Annabelle and very mixed things about the other, like, Conjuring film, like, verse films, I should say. The Nun, I mean, it wasn't great by any means, but I enjoyed it for what it was. And I saw how they were, like, playing this, because Halloween's around the corner, so of course, not a whole lot of new movies have been coming out lately, so they might as well play some older ones. And yeah, I finally got around to seeing the Conjuring verse in its entirety. I had a decent, like, idea of the things that happen, from, like, the trailers and watching other people's reviews and stuff like that. And yeah, if you haven't watched The Conjuring yet for whatever reason, like I haven't had prior to tonight, believe all like the praise that's received like over the past 7 years. I can't believe this movie was released back in 2013, which is the same year that I started making YouTube videos. So if The Conjuring was like a little kid, they'd be like in first grade right now or something like that. That's crazy to me. But yeah, I really like James Wan as a director. He's very versatile. I know he's kind of like stretched away from like the horror movies that he's directed over the years. I think he also directed Saw and Insidious. He also directed Aquaman and Furious 7 or Fate of the Furious, one of the Fast and Furious films. I know he's directed as well. So yeah, he's got a knack for like different genres, different styles, and he really knows how to make a creepy atmosphere. Like Conjuring has been hailed as some movies by some viewers as like one of the greatest, like scariest movies of all time, especially because it's based on a true story. I haven't done too much research on like the real story that this movie is based on, but like at the end of the movie, okay, for my classic movie reviews, I like to go into spoilers. So if you aren't bothered by spoilers, well, tough shit, I guess. At the end of the movie, when like they perform the exorcism on the mom, that's possessed by Bathsheba, the like evil entity has been haunting his family. The real story, they didn't have an exorcism; they had a séance, which isn't exactly exorcism. It's just them communicating with spirits. Allegedly, like in the real story, they did that and made the spirits even angrier, and the family kicked the investigators out of the house after that, and due to financial issues they couldn't leave the house for like 7 years. So for 10 years this poor family was haunted, apparently. I have no idea how accurate this movie is to like to the true like story, but apparently the real Lorraine Warren went onto the set to like make the film look like she was there to critique the sets and make it like be there to see how realistic it was. And apparently the movie was done like pretty accurately by her own experiences, from what she remembers at least. But yeah, like movies based on true events, especially horror movies based on true events, I gotta take it with a grain of salt. But it was really interesting to see the backstory behind us. And yeah, this film, The Conjuring, I don't scare that easily, but it definitely succeeded in getting under my skin. Like the atmosphere, the music. It had a lot of jump scares, but they were like effective, well-timed, memorable jump scares. It wasn't like that reliant on gore either. And just like how they're doing research and they discover like, oh, this lady was here, like she committed suicide at 3:07 a.m. and in 1885 or whatever date it was. And yeah, it's like it opened like portals to like the spirit world. And yeah, just like the whole Conjuring verse, I think is really cool. They incorporate like demons that have been like talked about in various cultures like hundreds of years, because I've always had like a big affinity for ghosts and spooky things like cryptids and monsters and myths and legends, and I just love learning about stuff like that. And like I remember watching way too many like ghost like shows as a kid and not being able to sleep tonight. And yeah, if this like The Conjuring is like one of those movies where like you watch it and you're back in your house and you don't like and you hear like a creak that you've heard 100 times before, but still it's like, oh, I just watched a horror movie, so what's gonna happen? And yeah, it's one of those movies. So The Conjuring, I'm filming this video like 2 in the morning because I'm crazy, and yeah, I'm just keeping this classic movie review very straight to the point. If you guys are looking for, if you're, I know the theaters may or may not close down again soon. We'll see how things are going, but it's like if you and your friends are looking for a good movie to watch on Halloween, which is around the corner, and it's like if all the areas near if all the bars or stuff are still closed because of quarantine and you guys are just in a house not knowing what to do, give the Conjuring a watch. Eat some candy corn, drink some beer, and just enjoy yourself. And yeah, The Conjuring is definitely, I think it's gonna be a film that people will be talking about for a very long time. Like it's definitely has earned its place in the list of contemporary horror classics because they don't really make horror movies like the way they used to anymore. Like I think a lot of horror movies are just churned out because they're cheap to make. This film was made on a budget of $20 million, and apparently the Conjuring franchise is the second highest movie gross. It's out of all movie franchises we've ever had, this is the second highest grossing of all time, first being Godzilla. From what I've read, I don't know, that could have just come from a bad source, but I believe it because these films are cheap to make, and a lot of people go to them because people like ghosts and things like that. I think with a lot of ghost movies, once you've seen one, you've seen them all. That's not the case with The Conjuring. Like Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, especially, their performances were really top notch, and they gave a believable performance. That when they had to act scared, they acted scared, and their backstories and their career of being paranormal investigators. Vera Farmiga, Lorraine Warren being this medium, and whenever she talks to spirits or uses her sixth sense to scope places out, it takes a toll on her. You really feel that. And the families, you feel so bad for them because they're a family of 5 girls. 5 girls running around with ghosts and spooky things happening. Oh la la, I can't imagine what it's like to be those parents. If we're still talking about The Conjuring 20 years from now, I wouldn't be surprised. And yeah, I gotta say The Conjuring receives a 9 out of 10 stars. It is a spooktacular film. Okay, since Halloween is right around the corner, and I can't promise I'll be able to make another movie review for you guys before, Halloween happens, I have to ask, what is your favorite horror movie of all time? Remember way back in 2015, my sister and I made a video of us talk about our favorite and least favorite film of each genre, and I said King Kong was my favorite horror movie. I mean, if you go on Wikipedia, look at the list of greatest films considered the best, you go to the horror movie section, 1933 King Kong is on that list, so that's still my pick and I stand by it. But I will say a handful of my other favorites are Psycho, Alien, Sinister. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen a whole lot of horror movies in my day, so I really should brush up on them. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching. I need to get some sleep. You guys are the best. Stay beastly.